Alrighty, how we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome to, I believe it's episode 5 or 6, I'm probably already losing track, of the Ultimate Survival Guide Season 2 for Path of Exile, where I do my best to teach you how to play Speed Ranger. And in this episode, we're going to more than likely just be continuing with the campaign, because we are reaching a pretty fast point now. We are going pretty quick with our Quicksilver and all of our movement speed bonuses. We acquired Tailwind in the previous episode, or the one before that. That allows us to go excruciatingly fast now. We also rolled a very, very good bow, so we're going to be looking for a few upgrades just throughout the run, and making our way forward, most likely. Probably just killing time for a little bit, clearing through acts, and just hanging out and relaxing, most likely. So, out of the stuff that we picked up in the previous episode, this is all that I kept. It was these three. We have an upgraded necklace, since we don't need the intelligence anymore. At least not that I know of. We shall see if I do actually need it. That gives us life, max mana, fire damage, and lightning damage, which there's both of those elements on there currently. It's not really what matters. It's more the life. And I can't actually use it because I do actually need the intelligence for the weapon. Like, oh, it nulls the bow. Why does it null the bow? Hang on. I'm very confused. So I lose. Oh, because it's a 29 strength roll. That explains a little bit. So I can't use the bow, as well as I can't use Hurl Bash. Okay. Okay, well, we know what we need to look for now if we're looking for upgrades. And then we rolled a decent 2-stone with Fire Res, Fire Cold, 18% rarity, which is kind of throwaway. And then increased elemental damage with attack skills, which is kind of alright. That's a pretty good roll later on if you're going an elemental style build. But we aren't really doing that, so we're going to take a look at our current resists, pop it in place of this one. Our lightning tanks quite a bit, but fire and cold go up, and considering the next areas are very heavy on cold damage, well, Act 6 plus is very heavy on cold damage, I'm going to be taking that route instead, and I'm just going to craft on lightning if I do actually need that, or craft on cold lightning. I'll show you that right now since we have the currency on us. This is a nice way you can supplement your resistances if you want to make your character that much tankier, or if you're just having a problem in late game or anything like that, you can suffix craft double resistances, and that solves a decent amount of problems. Or you can target one resist if you have a problem there as well. So in our case, we're looking for cold lightning, right? So we go to our crafting bench, throw our ring in that has an open suffix, scroll down, and then we have either cold or lightning, right? So you can choose whichever one you want, or you can take a lower value, but you can take both. So we get cold and lightning, either 10 to 12 for 6 transmutes, or you can go 13 to 16 with my current values anyways, at 1 alchemy orb, which let's take the alchemy orb, I think. And we're gonna throw that back on there, and I crafted it too high because I am a fucking idiot. Sick. Well, in 2 levels I can put that back on. Alright, that is also a factor that sometimes you can craft stuff at too high of a level. That's the first time that's actually ever happened to me, though, so you don't really need to plan around that very often, but there's a fucking first for everything, so, well. I'm not fully awake yet, in case you can't tell. I got my coffee in front of me, and we're going to make our way through this episode, probably rather slowly, but still. Okay, and then we have a replacement for our rather shitty sash with 23% over the 21%, and then we have max mana, fire resist, and energy shield strength. So that's going to cap our, or just about cap our fire res. You know, if I could put the other ring on, you know, in 2 levels, we'll get there. Put that back for now. And with that in combination, it'll cap our fire res, and we'll be pretty good on cold and lightning. It's kind of weird, basically holding my entire inventory with me, but, well, gotta make do. So let's go back to Crystal Veins and pretty much just head forward. We don't really have anything we can do or that we need to really worry about at the moment. Most of our gear is pretty okay. Most of our damage is pretty okay. And we really just kind of power farm and hard push to about, like, I want to say level 50, and then we get Izaro number 2 for Pierce Everything. And then we are in business because we can get another damage modifier in our chest piece. The next thing we'd want to look for would be a 5 link if we could manage to get one of those. Probably not, but still. If we get a 5 link, we're in a pretty good spot. And then we don't really need a bow upgrade until like at least 50, more than likely. This bow will carry us quite a while. Obviously, if that fire was physical, we'd be in a better scenario, but oh well. Also, I gave PoE a half-hour warm-up, and we're still here. So, we're gonna have to bear through the brunt of this one together. You can see Mirage Archer almost one-shotting packs, though. So that's really nice for us. And to my knowledge, by the way, you also leech off of Mirage Archer attacks. Now, I haven't really tested that, but I don't see why you wouldn't. So, it's a little bit of extra healing as well, but at the same time, they changed the way leech worked a long time ago to have, like, a cap amount, so it's a little out there. They literally did rocket science math for the leech rework, which kind of broke Slayer for a league until they announced, by the way, Melee's getting changed and overhauled. That was a fun league. That was a lot of very poor design choices all thrown together, but hidden behind, by the way, it's a Melee rework next league. I don't know, man. Our PR choices are a little whack, but we're still here. For better or for worse, I suppose. Anyways. We are probably just going to be grinding along, honestly. Watch out for Corrupted Blood, which is something you'll see on this spot here. It's the red thing you guys saw like 2 seconds ago. It does a ton of damage to you. It counts as a bleed, so if you're moving around, you take extra damage. And Corrupting Blood is something that you're going to want to work towards dealing with later on in the game. Because if you get corrupting blooded at maps, you just kind of fall over and die. So as a result, you want to roll bleed immunity on a flask if possible. I generally put mine on my Quicksilver because it's the thing I'm pressing the most. So since I'm just pressing it over and over and over again, I'm removing bleed without thinking about it. Which with bleed being the biggest issue, it's just really nice to be able to just snap remove it and not have to ever worry about it. So, alright, one thing I am gonna try and do is I'm gonna roll this. It is I'm level 4, but you can still hit adrenaline, I'm pretty sure, on like level 0 flasks. So I'll use 4 alterations to try and get either bleed removal. Bleed removal I can craft on with Einhar, so it's not really an issue. But I want to try and see if I can fish for increased effect or adrenaline. So freeze removal is not bad, but we have freeze removal here. Charge recovery, prefix, suffix. Use 2 more. Freeze, I can craft. Prefix. Max charge isn't bad. I'll go for 1 more. Can you, like, not instead? Thanks. And, well, it's basically the same thing, just with lower max charges. Oh, well. I was gambling a little there, but no dice, sadly. I am pretty sure, to my knowledge, you can still hit adrenaline on level 1 flasks. Like, I swear on my life I've done it before. But if that's a placebo effect, let me know in the comments. It's a possibility. But maybe we're just never lucky. I say that, and we're currently using a weapon that one-shots everything, but, you know, I haven't been lucky today. Yeah, just say that, basically. Although, I don't know, since I haven't really changed my shirt, you could think it's all one continuous take. Man. Such is life. There's not really a layout to this sort of area. You just kind of wander around until you end up finding it. Which is kind of annoying, but solved by the fact our character is rather fast. Also, you can see that I'm dropping a shit ton of currency right now, which I can use to segue into the reason you play ranged or ranged speed characters, is because it looks like I'm dropping a lot of currency. That's because I am. Because I'm killing things extremely fast, and going extremely fast means you can get more currency drops than the average player, or than someone playing a slow build. Because since you're playing a fast build, think about it in terms of maps, right? If you're clearing 2 maps in the speed of a guy clearing 1 map, then by the end of the day, mathematically you should have cleared double the maps, which means double the mobs killed, double the affixes, double the possibility of strong boxes, all this sort of extra bullshit. So you should be, provided RNG's not fucking with you, about double his currency if, you know, we were in the perfect world. So playing a fast or an ultra fast character versus like a slow methodical melee character is the reason you see a lot of streamers playing this sort of archetype, because it can make a bunch of currency, then try and make stupid items, and then do, you know, stupid high-end streamer bullshit that you've seen them do. Or in my case, I give stuff away sometimes, but I don't play Trade League very often. So, Piety is a pretty easy boss, does a giant beam, literally just kite around her, like I'm doing right now. Don't stand on these things, because they're traps. They just explode into a bunch of damage. And don't stand in the giant balls. Pretty simple. Literally did that fight without taking damage, I'm pretty sure. I think my fucking degeneration was from accidentally pressing Blood Rage. It's a hard life. But yeah, that's why most streamers will play fast characters. And remember how I said previously, when you're building a character, that you don't need to go overkill on damage when you're building a character based on speed. Some of the most played and most efficient characters only show on Path of Building like 150k DPS. But that is because they have fast as fuck attack speed. They have projectiles that chain across the whole map. They're normally playing Tornado Shot, which does exactly that and spawns a bunch of projectiles. Tornado Shot is basically what's it called? Conference Call from Borderlands 2. If you've ever played that or seen that, we're gonna make our way to Deadly Draw to get some bleed. Do I have it on me? I do have it on me. Here, I can just show you. So like, do I have to hit something with it? Okay, you see what I mean? It shoots all those projectiles, which means now this is going to kind of potentially blow your mind with how Tornado Shot works if you've never seen it before. You'll see that when it explodes, it does those, you know, 3 few projectiles there, right? So what does that make you think when you add projectiles to it? You'd think that, oh, that thing just shoots, say, like 4 more projectiles or 3 more projectiles, that one little shot. There's no way it's that good, right? Let me prove you wrong quickly. And just put it in place of, let's switch out Pierce support. So not only have we multiplied the amount of projectiles here, keep in mind each projectile fires 3. So for our 4 projectiles, we've actually gained 12. That due to the way Tornado Shot works, because it's 4 times 3. You see what I mean? So because everyone and their grandmother plays Tornado Shot, which let's take it for a spin just for a little bit. Keep in mind we're not running Pierce, but just to fuck around with it. See if I can showcase how it works. Obviously, Pierce does help a little bit in regards to clear speed, but we'll get Pierce naturally through Deadeye, right? Yeah. Using a skill like this that just basically automatically clears the screen you're on and the next screen, you don't really have to do a whole lot of work. Like here, I'm going to switch out Mirage Archer for fucking Pierce. One sec. Let's just get rid of that. And now we can have a real laugh and watch its bossing. Its bossing is not particularly great, but it's not the worst thing either, right? So long as you can kill the map boss, remember what I was saying beforehand, right? Being able to kill Shaper is not exactly the goal of speed farming characters. The goal of speed farming characters is to make sure you can kill the end of map boss, because they have the highest chance to drop, what is it? They have the highest chance to drop newer maps or other maps. And now you see with Pierce, the projectiles are basically killing everything for me. And they ricochet across the planet. So you can see kind of what I mean. Like, they play this version of a speed character that can clear maps this fast. That doesn't have to worry about, like, anything at all whatsoever. And because Tornado Shot is able to cheese out extra projectiles like this, you can literally clear, like, entire maps in few shots. So they optimize around this, right? They optimize around movement speed. They get the bare minimum. Do I have all three? I think, not even more. They get the bare minimum amount of maximum damage for Tornado Shot to clear the whole map. And then go attack speed, movement speed, mobility, survivability, all these sorts of things. Rarity. Rarity is generally where a lot of people go. Ow. I just got one shot. Alright, sick. Rarity is generally where people go in this sort of case, because you have enough damage to kill the whole map. So you can splurge on getting, you know, quantity, rarity, so then you're getting more and more currency drops that you're forcing through your gear upgrades. You kind of see what I mean, right? You don't really need to... You don't need to play a build. Oh, that's why I got one shot. The fucking trap spawned under me. You don't necessarily need to play a build that does, you know, 5 million Shaper DPS if your goal is to create, like, cool weapons in Endgame or to get really rich. Or if you're playing in Trade League and you enjoy trading and you want to just make as much currency as possible. Or you just want to clear as many maps as possible or make the most of your time, right? Some people making the most of their time is doing as much as possible. Being able to see as much of the game as possible. And playing a character like this will get you through the entire system of maps very, very easily. It might hit a point where it caps out, like, for example, going like a full speed style build might only work up to, say, like tier 10 plus, or tier 10-ish, because then you might get one shot afterwards. But then with all the currency that you've farmed via, you know, Trade League with your hyper speed build, you can take all of that, build a second character, optimized around bossing, use this character with all of its speed to unlock the bosses and do all the required previous steps. Then you open the portals, you hop on the other character, you go in and you fucking 3-shot him or stun chain him with a heavy strike build or something fucking stupid like that. And that is where the niche of this style of character comes in. This is all some people play, honestly, is they'll just play this style and just map all day, all day, all day, as fast as possible, as optimal as possible. They don't care about bossing or endgame sort of stuff. They don't, all they care about is trade and making money, all that sort of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy the Jewish lifestyle every now and then as well. But I don't play Trade League as much very often. Like, I don't think I've played Trade League in 6 leagues, something like that. Also, by the way, remember how I said greater multiple projectiles is a less multiplier? Ow. This is, like, pretty decent boss clear, I'll be honest. For a build based around speed, this is better than some of my boss builds at this point in the game. It's not even a fucking joke either. Like, with a less multiplier, Tornado Shot is still able to do stupid amounts of damage. It's just such a fucking meme. Like, I'm partly in disbelief because I've never played the Tornado Shot version of this sort of, like, stuff. I always stayed away from it because, you know, it was meta, and playing meta builds on your YouTube channel either ends one of two ways. Either you take it as far as humanly possible, or you don't take it as far as humanly possible. And if you go the second route, people are like, oh my god, this build's trash, he doesn't even have the best bow in the fucking game. So, you know, it's kind of a little worthless to go down that route in that regard, or it becomes like, oh, why don't you just watch someone else who takes it all the way to the end, you know? So I generally stay away from meta builds, so I haven't played the Tornado Shot version, and this shit's stupid. Like, I can literally just turn my brain off. If I wasn't doing a recorded series where I showcase everything, I could probably play this character brain dead. Like, I could watch Netflix on my other screen and still clear acts at good pace. And that's fucking saying something. For someone who plays a lot of melee characters who, you know, if I'm not paying attention, I'm dead, like, already. This is kind of whack. And keep in mind, we're really squishy, right? So, just remember what I said previously. That just means I get to the point where I can clear everything, like the point that I'm at now, right? For the next, say, what is it? For the next, like, 10-ish levels, I'm more than likely good, like, clear speed-wise. So now I just start boosting survivability. You can see I'm working on my resistances, right, with the ring that I got here. So I put on in, you know, a bar and a half. Also, that's the end of the act boss, by the way. Like I said, I didn't even comment on what the fucking fight does because I was just so zoned out. He spawns 3 hearts at every 33%. You have to kill it to be able to hit him again. Then after each 33%, he'll go to the next heart. And then, oh fuck, what is it? Then he'll spawn a circle on the ground, avoid it, because it does constant bleeding damage to you. Don't hit the traps, like don't step on them, you get like hit pretty hard. The previous phase, there's some adds, they aren't really an issue. The shield will bounce between him and Piety every 33% as well, if I remember correctly. It's just a hard damage phase, avoid the tentacle bullshit and the projectiles. It's a pretty easy fight. But, I mean, I'm probably gonna call this video Tornado Shot is so fucking brain dead I killed Malachi without thinking. But still. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I wasn't filling air to, you know, record a series, I could very easily, like, make a 4-course meal and still clear acts. Shows how engaging act content is, but we're not gonna talk about that. Alright, we're gonna grab Stone Golem because this is basically free life support. Now what I mean by that is this Stone Golem here, who I've nicknamed Kevin, can literally make you pretty much unkillable for most of acts, because it gives you constant flat life regeneration. 39 flat life regen per second is an incredible amount when you only have 900 life. Yeah. So essentially this summons a little pet companion for you that lasts forever until he dies. There's no time limit on it. But when he dies, you have to resummon him to get his buff back. So, you know, you can summon him manually and do all that sort of stuff, which is a pain in the ass. Why would we do that? Why would we manually summon things when we have the powers of automation? If we take cast when damage taken support, after we've taken a total of 528 damage, not in one swing, just in general, so we can take like 528 hits of 1 damage, it will still go off. So this procs just passively. It will automatically resummon our golem for us, and since he's not doing damage that we care about, we just want him for the life regeneration. This keeps him up forever, and it's a 2-link almost invulnerability setup while leveling. They removed the true invulnerability setup. It's not as good anymore. That's where you put cast when damage taken with an immortal call. It used to literally make you immune to physical damage after taking, you know, your total of damage. So you take a big hit and then it would just snap on immortal call, and for the next 4 seconds you couldn't take physical damage. So you got chunked and you had 4 seconds to just regen health freely. And that got nerfed. The most recent league, I think, this one or the previous league. But it's still effective, still good as well. You could use Steel Skin with this as well if you want that same sort of feeling. It gives you like a shield of like a few thousand health or something, which is worse the higher you go up in the game, but still. I'm going to spend 1 alchemy orb out of my stash because I just want this. Grab that. Also, this makes it so that the Blood Rage degeneration that we have just passively, because Blood Rage degens 4% of your max life per second, right? That makes it disappear. So if you had problems running Blood Rage at any point, this setup combo will solve that, basically. You no longer have issues running Blood Rage at all, because it gives you more than enough life regeneration. Also, you're going to level both of these, so that life regen amount is going to just go up and up and up. It eventually ends at 121 life regen per second, and I end most characters at 5,000 life, so you do the math. That's roughly like 1% at least, if not more. That's 2%, right? Because 100,000 on, fuck, that's a lot of math. I'd say that's about 2% life, just out of a 2-link. It's pretty good. So we're gonna look to make the coloring for that right now. Landing, if I can land another red here, I'll just bin War Banner. Using chromatic orbs, we can recolor an item, so we can reroll the colors on this and try and hit 3 red. And not 3 red, 2 red. The chances of that is pretty low, but one more. Damn, 2 fucking blue? Are you serious? Oh, that's annoying. I can take this helmet off, so I'm just gonna get a helmet with 2 red. Perfect. What's on it doesn't really matter. I could alk it. I could use, just put that on. That's trash. And that's even worse. We get some rarity. All we really lose compared to what I currently have is the max life, which is kind of whatever right now. And we put on Stone Golem. Cast when damage taken. And also, if you want to have a laugh, I now can't put War Banner back in, because of course not. And one of those days. Alright. Anyways. So now we have basically soft invulnerability for the next little while. I say that, and I'm going to walk out and get immediately one shot, and I know that's going to happen, and it's going to be funny for both of us. So yeah. And I'm going to sell that helmet, and we're going to go. This is one of the other sort of things that I wanted to showcase, is if you need like gems, or you need to put in certain gems, basically all forms of leveling gear aside from uniques are disposable to a point. Because a setup like this, cast when damage taken, Stone Golem, that I'm going to be running for the rest of the game on this character just flat out, is better than running some shitty helmet that is going to be disposed of at the first chance I get for a good item. Putting in a shitty item that you don't really lose much over what you already had to get a link that's going to benefit you for the rest of the game that we're going to be swapping around, which then means this is leveling as we're going, right? So we're getting more life regeneration due to leveling. This is a worth it trade-off. If you're wondering how to gauge power and what's worthwhile, like going upwards and going forwards, if you're going to use something permanently, then it's worth it. If you're going to trade off something, then just trade it off, really. So in that sort of scenario, that helmet was going to come off eventually. Whenever I got to Blood Aqueducts and buckled down farming, it was going to come off for something actually good. So trading that for something that's basically the same, if not arguably worse, but gives me my link setup, is worth it, because the link setup gives me raw power, whereas the helmet trade gives me 20 max life. So I'll take the raw power. In terms of that. So if you're looking for leveling trades or snap decisions, think of what gives you more power now while leveling, especially if you're going to be trading things off eventually, which in most scenarios you are, unless you're playing a character with a tabula rasa for the whole game. Also a possibility, depends on the build. Alright. That is Act 4 done and dusted, and we're going to come into Act 5 now shortly, as well as we're going to also have the first bit of bleed unlocked on the build, as well as I'm going to probably have minor problems switching from Tornado Shot to Split Arrow, because this shit is just way too stupid. Now you can also pick up Projectiles Chain, so then the projectiles bounce automatically. Yeah. Imagine living that life. Also, since they all pierce, I don't even need to like aim the explosions or anything like that. I think the explosion does a little bit of extra damage, but with the amount of projectiles, all the projectiles that fork off, by the way, also gain pierce. So yeah, it's out here, you know. And that's a boss mob. Easy life. I see more and more the longer I do this. Like I've made one Speed Ranger beforehand, which I guess doesn't really qualify me for teaching how to play Speed Ranger, but I've had it shoved down my throat so many fucking times. I've basically learned how to play it without actually playing it, or just by theory crafting it out of pure boredom, to the point that I'm able to, you know, create things like this. But this is also just as basic as humanly possible. There's a variation of this that was ran last league that is full evasion rating, Queen of the Forest. Queen of the Forest gives you 1% movement speed per 1,000 evasion rating, something like that. And some of these builds are topping out at 70,000 evasion rating, so just off their chest piece, combined with everything else, they're getting 70% flat movement speed. Just off the chest piece and off of all their gear setup. So, like, min-maxing these speed clear builds is stupid fast when you go about doing it. Because, like I said, you only need enough damage to be able to clear the maps you're going to do. Or, for most people in Trade League, to clear the most beneficial currency-wise map. That means a map that drops div cards itself for a lot. There was a map called Burial Chambers that I believe is still in the game right now that drops a card called the Doctor, which is a 1 of 9 card set that gives you a Headhunter, which is the best belt in the game. It basically makes it so, you know how rare mobs have affixes like, you know, deal more damage, arc off lightning, all these sorts of shit. Yeah, when you kill them, you get that as a buff for a minute. And it stacks off of every rare pack you kill. So you play a fast build, you kill the whole map, you get to the end map boss, and you have 9 different affixes going at the same time, and you one-shot him. Best build in the game for a very good reason. But, so that means everyone wants one, right? Or that's the chase unique, or the end goal is to get a Headhunter. That's achievable through Doctor cards, which means Doctor cards sell for quite a bit, which means Speed Rangers that are focusing on money per hour farm where the Doctor's card drops, right? Which, at the time, was Burial Chambers, a tier 3 map. Maps go up to tier 16, ranging in difficulty. So, to clear tier 3, you don't really need, like, anything. You can have one of the shittiest builds on the planet and probably still be able to make it to, like, tier 6. So, for tier 3 to be the cutoff where most Speed Rangers call it good, right? You're just gonna run Burial Chambers on that character, and that's all you're gonna do. You really don't need much in the way of damage. You need maybe 40k DPS to clear Burial Chambers, boss included, when it was tier 3, because the Atlas rotates every league. So you only needed 40k DPS, and then you can go projectiles, you can go movement speed, you can go max life, you can become unkillable, you can go for this Queen of the Forest 70% movement speed, you can run your Adrenaline Quicksilver, you can run your Onslaught Flask, and all this sort of extra bullshit. You can run every speed node in the skill tree, because you don't need damage nodes, you don't need like all this extra bullshit. You can get extra projectiles in the skill tree. Those sorts of things, right? So that's where all of the very stupid speed builds have come from, and how they've popped up, and how fucking just good in general they really are. We're gonna grab Fire and Cold. See if we can roll something better on this one. Lightning resistance. Well, that's kind of funny, because when I put this on, I'm gonna lose a lot of lightning resistance. We're capped on fire. Cold lightning is kind of low. What does this one do for me? 75, 55, 64. Now 75 is the effective cap for resistances, so you'll see it says 75%, even though it says 83. This is my over cap. This is my maximum cap. Now, is there a reason to overcap? Yes, there is, because curses, like say projectile weakness here, this one makes it so enemies take increased damage from projectile hits. There's other ones that reduce resistances by up to 50%. Those can also be casted by enemies on you, which means you want to be overcapped. So if you're at like 125% and you get 50% cursed then you go down to 75% and you're still at the cap, right? So overcapping is not necessarily a bad thing. Overcapping by 200% is kind of a bad thing. But you can overcap roughly 30 to 40% and generally be fine. Because not many mobs cast level 20 flammability. Or level 20 all curses and whatnot, so... that is pretty much it, if I'm entirely honest, for this episode. I did kind of fill a lot of air, but at the same time, I think I just showed tornado shot, speed clear, optimization, and why a lot of people play this type of build, as well as how you kind of want to think when playing and or building this sort of thing. Do you want to take this sort of character to endgame, like to ultimate endgame bosses, in which case you might have to plan a little differently. You might have to plan around a lot of different things if you want to go as top end DPS as possible. Otherwise, if you want to just optimize for speed clear, then you find out what map tier you're running, you find out what's most beneficial, and then you get enough damage to clear that tier, and then you go all into clear speed, survivability, and utility. That's why a lot of these builds are played, why a lot of these builds are ran, and you'll see people cleaving through maps like fucking butter on 40k DPS builds and not understanding why or how. And you play this 40k DPS build and you try to push Atlas, and you know, because you saw your favorite streamer playing Tornado Shot, and you get into tier 10 and you can't fucking kill anything because you do no damage, even though you've copied his gear to a T. And it makes no sense, right? Because for a lot of these sorts of builds or a lot of these sorts of scenarios, the application isn't explained, right? So in our case, it's farming build. You look at a tornado shot build because it looks cool and your favorite streamer's playing it, and you try to go to endgame with it, and you know 40k isn't going to kill Shaper anytime fucking soon. So that is going to bring us to the end of this episode. I was very tired throughout most of it, and I'm trying to get some of this coffee into me. I do apologize if it was a lower quality episode. Let me know about that down below. I'm not really too sure on that. I feel like I did repeat myself a lot, but it was a lot of filling air. So, I don't know. Let me know how I did in the comments, and I'm glad a lot of you guys are enjoying this series as well. It's been getting a very good feedback, and you guys have been having a pretty good time with this character and wanting to play along for some of you as well. It's probably a bit weird to do considering how many times I change skills, but I like showcasing a lot of wide variety. Thank you guys very much for listening, and as always, take care, gentlemen.